A deadly shooting at a Planned Parenthood clinic in Colorado has now become a political issue on the campaign trail. Republicans are speaking out against the attack, and Democrats are remaining firm in their support for the abortion provider.
One of the 3 people killed in the attack was a policeman who was also a leader at his evangelical church. Caitlin Burke brings us the story.
An Iraq war veteran, a mother of 2, and a police officer, all victims of a 5-hour siege at the Colorado Springs Planned Parenthood clinic.
We're pinned down. We're getting active gunfire.
While investigators continue to process the scene of the deadly shooting, family and friends of the victims grieve, remembering their loved ones. 35-year-old Jennifer Markovsky was a married mother of 2, accompanying a friend to the clinic. The second civilian killed, 29-year-old Kier Stewart, served in the Army's 4th Infantry Division. And the third victim was Officer Garrett Swayze. He worked as a police officer at the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, and was called to assist with the active shooter at the clinic. Swayze was also the co-pastor at his church, Hope Chapel.
He would have gone into that clinic, to serve those people because their lives matter.
Authorities say the shooter, Robert Louis Deere, made remarks about no more baby parts to investigators after his surrender. But they add that they don't know if his views led to his attack. Over the weekend, several presidential hopefuls spoke out about his actions. Democrats Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders tweeting the hashtag #WeStandWithPP, and several GOP candidates addressed the attack on the Sunday shows.
What he did is domestic terrorism, and what he did is absolutely abominable.
Any hate crime is a horrible thing, no matter from where it comes, and should be condemned very strongly.
It's unacceptable, and it's horrific and wrong.
Meanwhile, the community of Colorado Springs is pulling together. Candlelight vigils being held over the weekend to remember those killed and injured in the attacks. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Well, our hearts and our prayers go out to the victims and to their families. And let me be absolutely clear. You cannot be pro-life and murder someone. This is just a bottom line. You can't do that. You can't claim that somehow or other you're helping babies by going out and murdering people. It doesn't work that way. Well, in other news, President Obama is in Paris today for the United Nations Summit on climate change. Ephraim Graham has that story from the CBN Newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, the high-level climate talks have started with political leaders saying they have to act to save the planet from man-made climate change. And President Obama is pushing for a deal that would bypass Congress. Dale Hurd explains.
151 world leaders have converged on Paris to launch 2 weeks of talks aimed at an ambitious agreement to curb carbon dioxide emissions. Leaders like the UN Secretary General think we are on the precipice of global catastrophe.
The time is now to act. We don't have any time to waste.
President Obama is there, and the White House wants a deal that doesn't have to be approved by Congress.
The design of the Paris negotiation is really driven in large part by the desire to get an agreement that does not have to go through the treaty ratification process. It's all perfectly legal.
The planet's warming. 99% of scientists have said it's warming.
Actually, the claim was 97% of scientists, and that has been shown to be wrong in peer-reviewed journals. But the president obviously has to gin up public support, because any agreement reached in Paris is going to be dead on arrival in the U.S. Senate.
My message is very clear to them right now that we're not going to adopt anything over here that is mandatory.
On Fox News Sunday, Republican presidential candidate Carly Fiorina blasted President Obama for continuing to say that climate change was the most important security threat facing the United States.
Well, that's delusional. It is delusional for President Obama and Hillary Clinton and anyone else to say that climate change is our near-term most severe security threat. It is ISIS, period.
A Fox News poll showed that only 3% of Americans agreed with the president that climate change is the most important issue. Public concern about climate change is dropping in most Western nations. But world leaders are spending a lot of money and emitting a lot of carbon to hold a conference on an issue that fewer and fewer Europeans and Americans care about. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Republican presidential candidate Marco Rubio tells CBN News the fight over same-sex marriage is not finished. David Brody spoke with Rubio at this event in Iowa where pastors prayed for Rubio. In an exclusive interview, Rubio told Brody the Supreme Court's ruling on marriage makes it the current law, but that doesn't mean it's final.
It is not settled law. No law is settled. Roe v. Wade is current law, but it doesn't mean that we don't continue to aspire to fix it because we think it's wrong. I think the broader question is, what is our role in terms of confronting it? And again, if you look at biblical lessons, the first thing is we are clearly called in the Bible to adhere to our civil authorities. But that conflicts with also a requirement to adhere to God's rules. Right. And so when those two come in conflict, God's rules always win. In essence, if we are ever ordered by a government authority to personally violate and sin, violate God's law and sin, if we're ordered to stop preaching the gospel, if we're ordered to perform a same-sex marriage as someone presiding over it, we are called to ignore that. We cannot abide by that because government is compelling us to sin.
And we'll have David's full report on Rubio's meeting with Iowa pastors on the 700 Club Wednesday. You can watch excerpts from the Brody File on CBNNews.com starting today. Another snowstorm is hitting the midsection of the U.S., bringing up to a foot of new snow in some areas. More than a dozen people have died after the Thanksgiving weekend storm. A powerful ice storm hit parts of Oklahoma Saturday, wiping out power for potentially thousands of people.
It's been quite devastating. I mean, we've had one ice storm several years ago, but it didn't do the damage that this has.
We had a winter like this a couple of years ago that was real bad. We were out of power for a couple of days, and we just lived in our front room with the fireplace going.
The new storm will dump sleet and freezing rain along with snow. More Americans are apparently choosing to do their shopping online and avoid the madness of days in the stores. Black Friday sales are down this year.
Black Friday is not as attractive as it used to be. Unless you want to get punched in the face, be yelled at, or fight the traffic for hours, there's really no need nowadays to do that because you can find the best same deals online.
But online sales are up. More than 100 million people went online to do their holiday shopping, and they aren't waiting until today, Cyber Monday, to start that online shopping either, as they started looking for those bargains early. Analysts say the switch to online shopping is a growing trend.
It's quicker, it's easier, we're used to the on-demand lifestyle. Most of us are doing online shopping on a regular basis.
And people are not just using computers for that shopping anymore either, with some people browsing and buying online with their smartphones. Gordon, it just seems to get easier and easier to spend money.
Well, it does. I haven't graduated to smartphones, but I've been an online shopper for years. How about you?
I don't normally shop online. I don't normally shop a lot if I can get away with it. But I have to say, this year I have done some online stuff. I don't really like. I don't know.
You've
there's
broken through.
Well, there's that security issue that makes me a little.
Oh, you don't want to give your.
Yeah, I don't like that. You know,
Okay.
but let me say this: I really don't want to rub elbows with 1,000 people in line at a store. So I'm coming to your side of the game there.
I've been online for a long time,
Yeah,
and it's a lot easier.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
They deliver right to your door.
Exactly, and soon by drone.